Hello everybody, I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to get right to it. This is going to be a video that I'm not real sure how strongly I'm going to speak. If you don't like to be spoken to with a volume that is higher or louder, click off right now. I'm not sure what the Lord is going to do with this, but I'm bringing you something that I feel very led to remind you of. I'm not sure why I feel so strongly about this, but I do. So at any time, if you need to click off, just click off, all right? Otherwise, please listen to the end because I do think there's a warning to this message. This is not a message that I feel completely like, oh, the Lord is leading me to tell you this. So I'll tell you that right now. It's just a nagging. I have a nagging sense in my gut that I need to speak these things to you. You can discern for yourself. If it resonates with you from God, then we'll give him the glory, of course. I can't tell you that that's what this is, what I'm fixing to say. But here's what I want you to listen to. When the pandemic began, that March 2020, none of us knew. We need to remember that none of us actually knew what was fixing to go down. We can look back now with a perspective that is much different than how we felt in the first 2 weeks of March. I don't know why, but I had a feeling to watch whatever was going on over there in Asia. I had a feeling that something wasn't right about all of that had started in January. So I had been watching it and paying attention to the news, not the mainstream media, but alternate news sources, and it was just bothering me. So I was already alert. The thing that tipped me off, that kind of really set off the tripwire for me, that I thought, holy cow, we've got to brace now, today. It was this. I had gone to the town just down the road from us to our pharmacy. I'd gotten to the pharmacy and I was picking up medication and I was talking to our pharmacist, Andy, and they were all, the staff behind him were kind of scurrying around, not in a panic, but just like something wasn't right. And I was like, what's going on? He said, we can't get any hand sanitizer. You know, the pump kind, the hand sanitizer. He said, we can't get any. Now, mind you, it's March 2020. Nothing has been announced about a pandemic. I thought, why can't you get any hand sanitizer? He said, it doesn't matter. We've had it on order. We've tried to get it. We don't know why, but there's not any available. And I thought, not any available? I'd never experienced anything not being available in the United States of America. He said, we're having to make our own. So we're getting the ingredients together. I walked away from that conversation and I went to the grocery store and I started loading up on stuff that I already had my preps in order, but I started beefing up and filling in holes at that day because I thought that is not normal. Okay, so I came home. I told my mom and dad about it. And my mom said, I need to go to the store too. And I said, well, if you go, now's the time. So she went to the store and she beefed up on her preps. The week continued, and then it was announced that it was a pandemic. And that's when I started seeing things that were absolutely way not normal. I went to the store. I went to our little grocery store right up here up the street. As as I was leaving, I had bought some stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I bought a whole bunch of toilet paper. I bought some stuff, came back to my car, was taking my cart back to the store when a woman approached me. Like, she was like me. I mean, she looked like, I mean, she was not a threat. She had a younger daughter with her that was in her 20s. And I said, are you going in? Would you like a cart? And she said, is there any toilet paper in there? And I went, well, yeah, I think there was like 1 or 2 packages on the aisle, but not a lot. And she said, I have just come from the town to the west of us. And she said, we're going to every town, all these little towns, to all these little grocery stores and buying as much as we can, because where we live in New Mexico, in Clovis, she said there's nothing in the freezer sections, there's nothing on the shelves. So we're going this way. And like, she didn't use the word pillage, but that was the implication. And I said, well, good luck. And I came home and I thought, that is not normal. That's not the United States I'm used to, that I grew up in. What is going on? Another thing that happened that I thought, that is not normal, that is not the America I know, was when my family, my husband and my daughter, were deemed essential workers. When they were given that title, I thought, what the H is an essential worker? I've never even heard that phrase. Why is that being thrown around so casually now? What in the H does that mean? My daughter's a nurse, RN. My husband works at a meatpacking plant in the IT department. So they receive a notification, papers, I guess, is how papers to show at checkpoints, basically, is what it was. They received a hard copy, and then they were told to take a picture of it and have it on their phone in case they needed to show it to any kind of law enforcement that might pull them over for being on the streets in public. To assure the law enforcement official that they were essential and it was okay for them to be out and about. I thought, when I read that and saw that, I thought, that is not normal. What is going on? Now, there were a whole other slew of things that I don't want to get into in this video, that had to do with my daughter being in the healthcare at the time. The things that happened to our family, I know did not happen to all the other families in the United States. I understand that. But if you're a healthcare worker, you understand what I'm not telling you right now, what I'm not going into, because it was crazy at that hospital. And let me tell you this. We live next to New Mexico. We're about not far from it. So we crossed the state line. And Texas had a different set of pandemic rules and laws, I don't know what they were, rules, than New Mexico had. And often, if you were in New Mexico, and clearly you're not from there, I mean, I had Texas tags, you would be pulled over more readily and asked, what were you doing? Why were you there? Blah, 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 blah. I have friends that work over there, many, many, many friends. At that time, my daughter was working over there. And we were well, let me finish this story first. My friends that work over there, who were Texans, reported that the police would come into their place of business, checking to make sure they had masks on. And if they didn't, they were cited. That's truth. That really happened. I'm not making that up. We had concerns that they would shut the border down between New Mexico and Texas, and my daughter would be stuck over there because that's where she worked. And we had chosen an alternate route for her to get home if that happened. Because we were like, get home no matter what, get home. Okay, so all of these things, you're like, why are you talking about this? I don't know why I'm talking about this, except I feel the need to bring it to our attention once again and remind us. Remember, this happened. That craziness happened. And I believe a lot of things about the pandemic that probably other people don't. I believe it was real. I believe people were affected by it. I know people died from it. I know people who are, I have family and friends who did. So that's legit. I will also tell you this one other story that the Lord's bringing to my mind. My daughter went to Seattle to visit a friend at the first week of March 2020. Seattle was at the beginning of being slammed with pandemic patients. They are considered ground zero, and there was times during the pandemic. I have to be careful what I'm going to say, but there were times that it was deemed ground zero, because, and I know a doctor that worked that. Believe me, she was choosing who gets the vent and who doesn't, because they didn't have enough vents. She still wrecked hard. Mentally, to this day, she still struggles. My daughter had gone to visit a friend in Seattle. Excuse me. Before she left, she flew. I said, Taylor, I don't know what this is, but it's something. I don't think you should go. She's like, oh, Mom, I'll just wash my hands. I'll be fine. I said, well, yeah, okay. She comes back. It's announced that it's a pandemic. Her place of work, the hospital over there that she was working at, wanted to know who had been out of the state, out of the town, within a 100-mile radius, and they wanted to know those names of people. So she said, yeah, I was out. I went to Seattle. They immediately sent her to the emergency room to be tested. Now, that's before they had just gotten like a very limited amount of test kits. And the tests were pretty not advanced. 2 men in hazmat gear came into the ER to test her for the virus. She said, Mom, they were completely hazmated out. And I was like, that's not normal. What is going on? My point in sharing all of this with you is, remember, it has happened before, not very long ago. This stuff that happens, that's not normal, but we have to categorize it in our head somewhere so we become used to it and it becomes normal. It's called a normalcy bias. Guard yourself against that during this season. I do not know why I'm bringing you this message. I don't know that there's something coming. Maybe there's a big something. Maybe there's a lot of little somethings. I don't know. But I know that things are happening quickly and this country is changing rapidly. And I just want to bring it to your attention. Be alert. Pay attention. Have conversations with people around you. If you come across a store manager, say, hey, are y'all getting all your stuff in? Nope, we're not. Well, that's a red flag, y'all. I'm not saying to be scared. This is not to be scared. If anything, it's to point you towards God, because He's going to get you through everything. He's everything at this time. He's all you need. He is enough. I understand that. And so if you don't want to go to the stores and get stuff, fine. Then you can. If your refrigerator's empty and you feel fine about that, and your shelves are empty and you feel fine and you feel led to that by God, then good, fine. You do that. You roll that way. I don't want to roll that way. And I feel like if the Lord has given me a sense of warning people, then dadgummit, I'm going to warn you. Remember, it happened not long, that's 3 years ago. And things were happening that were just like, this is not right. This is not normal. And yet we went along with it to a degree because we were like, I don't even know how to navigate these times. I'm telling you, I'm not sure we're not in for that some more. And what I'd like to hear from you is, what are your memories of those early days of the pandemic? What do you remember? What was your first red flag moment of, holy cow, this is weird. This is not right. What is happening? I'd like to know. And then I'd like to know, what are you seeing now? Are you seeing red flags now? Do you have tripwires now that you're just like, this is it? When the CDC and the WHO announced pandemic, I was like, all right, guys, we're going. And there'll be a panic. There'll be panic buying. Whatever, if there's a lot of swans, there's a lot of black swans flying in the atmosphere right now. I don't know what the black swan event's going to be. I don't know which one's going to land. I don't know if 20 of them are going to land. But there's a lot. I mean, so I guess I'm urging you, pay attention to the little things that are not normal, because we easily get lulled into a normal way of life when you're seeing empty shelves. Like, I still see empty shelves where I live. We just got a new Family Dollar, and a third of the freezer section is empty right now. Nothing in it. And a whole bunch of products in there are out of date, or fixing to be out of date, on a brand new store. It just opened about 3 months ago. How can that's not normal. That's not normal. There's a lot of data points that you just kind of have to file away and go, I don't know what that is. I'm going to pay attention to it. And eventually, maybe we'll be able to connect all the dots. But until then, be alert and don't be lulled into something that is like sleepwalking because you're afraid to look at what's really going on in the world. Okay, so you can slam me all you want to about being worried or scared. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. I assure you, I'm not afraid. I know God will take care of me. But I also know Noah preached God for 100 years while he was getting the ark ready. That's all I have. I'll bring you some more memories. I think I'll bring you some more memories of those early days. Until then, until more of those that I feel like God needs is sharing, wanting me to share, I'll just end this and say, y'all do what you need to do, but wake up and be alert. Stay safe. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.